Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're good to go. I'd like to call the Conservation Advisory Council, the March 3rd, 2021 meeting to order. And could we please give the roll?
Do you have the roll, Laura? I don't have it in front of me.
Oh yeah, hold on. Sorry. You. Ellen Daviero. Ellen, did you sign on as unknown?
Yes, I signed on as unknown because this doesn't come through on my computer, and I have to sign into Google, and I just didn't do it. And
Okay, that's you.
Sorry.
So Ellen's here. Chelsea Ratner. I didn't see her. Catherine Harder.
Here.
Ashok Ramasubramanian.
Present.
We have a new member, Ann Thornton.
Here.
And Chairman Dart Strayer.
Present.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's everybody.
Okay.
Laura, did you include our student member?
And Rihanna.
Yeah.
And Rihanna, our student member. Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
Well, I'd like to welcome Raina and Ann to our council. Welcome. And we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay. Before us are two meeting minutes, one of January 6th. Do we have any corrections or comments that we want to introduce to those meetings?
So I thought there was a mistake on the February, maybe line 46, but I'm not positive.
Okay, we can get to that. We'll get to that in a
Okay.
second, Ellen. I want to make sure we focus on the 6th first.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, January. So I have line 92 written
Yeah.
down for that one, but I'm not positive. I don't have any comments written next to it, so I don't know what I'll pull it up now.
Clifton Park. It's so 92 says Clifton Park has an open space plan, which is one the outputs of a natural resources program. Yeah, there's something wrong with there.
Yeah.
Open space plan, which it's probably supposed to be is one of the outputs of a natural resource inventory program. So you guys want to, we'll
Yeah.
add it of there.
Yeah. Okay, do we have any more comments on the January 6th meeting? Hearing none, I move we make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Was that a
second?
motion?
I made the
Second.
motion, yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, the motion carries.
Aye.
Okay, February 3rd. Let's take a look at those meeting minutes. Ellen, you had a correction you wanted to make on that?
So I thought there was just a line on 46, line 46.
Oh yeah, it says okay, so it says the subdivided lot would be compliant with code, and it should be compliant.
And it's compliance. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all. I thought everything else looked good.
Okay.
That was the only thing I noticed. I don't know if anybody else.
I have
Do we have
nothing.
any other comments or
No.
no? Okay, I move that we adopt the minutes from February 3rd.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Aye.
Okay. Laura, we don't have anyone who would like to speak, do we?
No, nope, we didn't get any requests from the public to attend the meeting tonight.
Okay. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, let's look at the environmental assessments. EAF 2021-01, 2456 Hilltop Road. We've looked at this a couple times, a couple meetings ago, and we began to go through it. This is a subdivision on this road, and the owner would like to subdivide an existing lot that has a house on it. And he does not meet the zoning requirements for lot size or sidelines. So I understand, Laura, that this is going to the ZBA this month.
He was given, so essentially you guys had some comments on this that got forwarded to the
Yep.
planning board. It was very similar concerns at the planning board level as far as taking a small piece of land and subdividing it to below kind of the bulk area requirements of the zoning code, setting a bad precedence. We do sometimes allow like keyhole lots and things where there's space but not access, even if we don't really support keyhole lots. But we were really concerned that if we start kind of carving out these smaller lots, that it's not good precedence. I know there was some concerns from drainage and these two being the smallest lots in the neighborhood if it was to be subdivided. So based on that and their own findings, the planning board denied the sketch plan, but the applicant does have the ability to appeal to the zoning board of appeals. He has not so far. So we don't have him scheduled for the March meeting. And he has 60 days to appeal. My guess would be that he would try and be on the April meeting, but he could go as far as May based on his timeline for appeal. And I did note in the packet, although we have been discussing it, he still hasn't fully submitted his EAF. So my request would be, we know the project, but because it's not scheduled to the zoning board and you guys will always be up before the zoning board meeting, we may want to wait on this one until it does get scheduled for a zoning board and then just make sure you actually have a signed EAF from the applicant, would be
Okay.
my suggestion.
That's fine. We can do that. All right, let's move on to the next EAF 2021-02, and this is 1330 Balltown Road, CVS dual use. Laura, do you want to fill us in on the details of that?
Sure. And then the only other thing I wanted to add for that last one is, I guess there's theoretically he could not appeal. And so
okay.
So we, maybe we may not need to do that, which is the other thing I was getting at that I didn't say. Anyway,
Okay.
so CVS, here, I'll bring it up on my screen. Currently is a retail pharmacy within the neighborhood commercial zoning district. And Clark's done a lot of work on this one. So Clark, jump in whenever you feel the need. This is the subdivision that may or may not go to the zoning board. I think he will appeal it, but he hasn't yet. So, and they have currently, just like this, all in here is all retail floor space. And this is the back where their pharmacy is. And then I'm not really sure what these X's are, but I think they're storage or lockers or something. And what they want to do is take this retail area and add, so essentially and I can zoom in these, 2 exam rooms, sort of 3 exam rooms, a waiting room, and a sales room. And the idea is that when people get vaccinations, the pharmacies are rolling out vaccinations, so it'll be an area for people to get vaccinated. It'll be an area for really, really minor ailments that don't require urgent care or, really going to a doctor. I'm just making this one up, but I don't know, if you got toe fungus or something, you can show them your toenail and they can give you a prescription for just really mild things. They're not going to do cuts or anything, but I think they said they would check diabetic feet. If there's some other kind of just minor things it's just a tiny bit above what you'd ask a pharmacist, but wouldn't necessarily require a visit to the doctor. So you can see that So we really struggled with this one, but we really felt like you couldn't designate this as retail space anymore. It is going to be staffed by like a physician assistant or a nurse, in addition to, the pharmacists that are there. And so we did feel like it was essentially two uses in a single building. It seems to be the way the world is going. There's quite a few minute clinics in CVS. But to our code, if you put 2 uses in a single building, it requires a special use permit. So it's probably, that's an up close of the sales room, and that's an up close of the waiting room. It's not really going to change the parking demand or any of kind of the outside structure, but it is changing the interior. And anytime there's a special use permit, it triggers review at the Conservation Advisory Council level.
Okay. This area here is currently zoned appropriately for examining rooms?
Yeah, so interestingly, the neighborhood commercial allows medical professional offices as a permitted principal use, and obviously it also allows retail. The trigger is that we're essentially saying that now there's 2 uses in a single store.
And did they give you an expectation of how much traffic would be through there, or is it?
I don't think we've gotten that from them yet. They did explain to me how it works. I'm just going to pull up that email.
So I know that if you go there and like get your flu shot, that you're getting it like in the hallway, on the way to the bathroom. So I'm sure this is why they are changing this, and because I think other CVSs have designated spots, and this is just an older CVS that doesn't. Because, and I imagine that they're thinking that we're all going to be getting more shots than less shots in the future.
Yeah, I did ask them if it was specifically a COVID update, and they said no. And we did offer to them that if they need emergency authorization to perform any COVID shots, that we could probably authorize them. But they haven't said that it's needed to do shots for COVID. It seems to be kind of a wider change in brand. So, but we have offered that if they do need, emergency space to do COVID vaccinations, we can work with that, kind of separately, or just say go ahead and build, and then we'll work through the permitting process as an emergency measure.
How much construction do they expect? And I mean, how quickly can they do this?
You open this up.
It just looks like they have to partition off a certain area and furnish it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fast. And what ends up being the slow thing is the town permitting.
Okay.
And
So
Don,
are they not supposed to be giving shots if they don't have a specific room for them, or can they just do them in the hallway like that, or does it matter? Or
No, they give shots now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, do you want me? When we looked at the code, to answer Dart's question, they are both permitted principal use, allowable permitted principal uses, I believe, in that zoning district. So the drugstore right now is a retail store that includes drugs, is I think the way it's defined in the code. But when you read the code, Laura's interpretation was that a medical office is a professional office for the practice of medicine. And we thought that when someone comes in there to be diagnosed and treated, that's kind of going beyond a drugstore where you're simply asking a pharmacist a question. You're specifically going there to see the PA or to see a nurse practitioner or someone like that. So they're both completely acceptable uses, but you just end up having 2 uses in one building, which requires that special use permit.
is there a separate entrance for them to come in that way and leave, or do they come in the main door and have to walk through the whole entire store?
It's a good question.
They come in through the main door and walk through the whole entire store. I can show you how they've set their floor up here. That's on page.
So can we ask them that they may, I'm just saying that, I'm just saying maybe that's not such a I don't know. Just to me, if, just like if you're ill at the doctor's office, if you're really ill, they have you come in a separate door.
So the problem with that will be, I think that like the doors back here are like they lead right into like the staff rooms and things like that. Like they
Yeah.
set this up so that you come through the main door and then you walk down that main aisle. To the right is the pharmacy, the way you're used to it being, and then to the left would be these exam rooms.
Yeah.
They would probably have to meet and change codes substantially to have an entrance in the back here, because this is sort of the receiving end of the business. And these rooms are probably even rated differently from the way you would build public spaces.
I think that would be my only comment. That would be my only thing, that I think that, if, just in light of what we're going through right now, I mean, I would think that you would want to be able to at least have a separate entrance should people be, but maybe they're not going there. I mean, I don't know. So I guess that's my only sidebar. Other than that, it didn't seem like when I looked through it to change any of the, main things, other than they probably will sell less, cards or something.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
is this effectively an urgent care facility then? Is that the
They
caveat?
said it's not urgent care. Like you can't go with like deep cuts or sprains or things like that. Well, maybe sprains, but they're not gonna have any like scanning equipment or X-rays or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
But
it doesn't replace an urgent care. It's like if you need like a prescription that is fairly normal, like I don't know, allergy medicine or something, you could go there rather than go to your doctor or something.
it's a really fine line, because as we looked at the code, there's nothing in the code that really calls out an urgent care either. An urgent care is basically the same as a medical office, that you go there for medical treatment. The only difference we saw is in a hospital, there's a little wording that implies when you go there, you may have to stay there overnight for continued treatment. So that there's just a little bit of language that kind of separates a hospital from a medical office. And then this portion of the drugstore becomes a really fine line between going to the drugstore to get a shot or a vaccination versus going there to be diagnosed and treated, which kind of makes it a little more like a medical office. But it's really fine line.
Yeah,
So,
I
I
guess
mean-
my thought on this is, right now there's a couple exam rooms. If we permit this special use, if the business model changed, become essentially an urgent care center if they were to get rid of all the retail at the end and just basically fill it with examining rooms.
Oops. Well,
Are there other ones like this? Are there other CVSs in this area that have similar layouts like this now? The newer ones that they've built? I haven't been to any of them, but
I know some people who just got vaccinated on the CVS in Route 50 in Glenville, but I don't know what the interior of that store looks like.
so my reservation would be is if we go through what we just went through and people come in here to get tested because people went to urgent cares to get tested for COVID, that you're then exposing all of the people that are in that store to the next level of something along this lines without having, a different access or, so I guess that would be my only concern. And then you have to also assume that the public knows, I mean, they might know that there's not x-ray machines there, but if your hand, how deep is a deep cut, because they do mostly glue and butterflies now anyway. So unless you need, unless you've cut something, so, major. So anyways.
Yeah, I don't understand the fine lines, and this is the very beginning of this project, so we can have the applicant come to a CAC meeting and talk to us so that they can kind of delineate that better and talk to you guys about how it's worked in other stores. Because I don't really have the answers to any of that. This is just like the preliminary look at the basic drawings. But to Dart's question, I mean, so medical professional offices are allowable in the neighborhood commercial zone. But I guess what would prevent it from, once it has a special use permit for 2 uses in a single building, maybe you would want to make sure that there's a note on the special use permit that states like any increase in the medical office building, would trigger further review or something like that.
Mhm.
Because to my knowledge, granting a special use permit for 2 uses, it's not like a variance where it's being granted for the exact thing that's in front of you. I would think that once it's allowed to have 2 uses in the building, substantial changes might still have site plan, but they would probably not need another special use permit. But if they were going to take like a big change in the interior, it would probably still trigger site plan at the planning board.
Laura, if it's approved to have 2 uses in one building, is it just those 2 uses, or could
Yes,
you change
for
it?
sure.
Yeah.
That's just to those specific to the uses. Special use permits always are, but I don't know that it's specific to the square footages. You could certainly make the special use permit square, or you could say any changes in the square footages would trigger site plan review, which they would likely do anyway, unless it was really minor. Like if they were just going to add 200 square feet or something to the waiting room, that might just be a building permit. But if they were going to add an additional 10 exam rooms, then that would definitely trigger planning board site plan review.
And just so everyone knows too, when we told the applicant that they would need a special use permit, she's going back to her contacts at CVS to determine what they want to do. So it's still a little bit up in the air what their plan would be. That's from early this week, Laura.
Yeah, so we can take any questions and comments you have. From that, I have that they should potentially consider a separate entrance for exam rooms so that they're not exposing retail customers to anything. And then look into what would kind of protect making sure that the square footages of the 2 uses remain kind of constant without some kind of additional approval.
Yeah, I just found a quote minute clinic.
I was just going to say, I just Googled it. I just Googled it too.
Yeah, that's what it's called. That's what it's called, the Minute Clinic. Yeah.
So they do physicals for camps and medical renewal. Yeah. Eyelash lengthening and weight loss.
Minor illnesses, upper respiratory infections, flu, sinus infections. Yeah.
But they do COVID testing.
Yeah.
So I think actually that CVS does COVID testing now. Pretty sure it does.
Laura, is there any feedback from the neighbors? Do they know about this proposal?
No, so this is just extremely preliminary. It hasn't had any notification at all yet. We're just collecting comments from you for a future application. Probably.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Laura, I'd like them to give us a sense of what they expect the traffic, since they have these in other areas, they should be able to provide us what they think the throughput is.
Oh, and then sense of pedestrian.
Yeah, I mean, do they plan on doing 10 an hour, or is it truly a minute clinic where you're running 60 through an hour? I doubt that's it, but
I think Ellen's concern about COVID testings and things is very appropriate too. I mean, you're attracting potentially very contagious people right through the middle of the store to be tested. That just seems odd to me.
Well,
I
we
mean,
should,
if you go to a true urgent care that's testing people for COVID, they're practically in hazmat suits from the minute you step in.
I think the testing they do at CVS right now is outside, but and the people stay in their car. But the that would be a good question that we can give the applicant if it's regular for their minute clinics to have a separate entrance, or if they like always use the main entrance and people just have to start realizing that it's an extra thing that you have to bear if you decide to shop at CVS or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested in the real traffic pattern too, going into their little clinic. It looks like when they come into the store, they go directly into an inside waiting area, but I may be reading that wrong. I find these plans a little confusing. But
Yeah, no, I think you're right. They go down the main path and into a waiting room.
and into a waiting room, right?
Mhm.
And the other point is people coming in to pick up prescriptions are sick too. You know, and they go right through the store to the back of the store. So, you know, I mean,
Hmm.
I know COVID is a little different issue, but people with flu come in and, you know, coughing and sneezing and whatever.
Laura, maybe this is more of a building permit stage, but isn't there, is there requirements on air exchanges and things like that to have potentially COVID infected people in a building?
I mean, I don't think the building code is caught up to that. The governor has issued some executive orders on, public spaces and malls and things like that.
Yeah,
But I think, as far as
that's
I know,
just for malls and things.
yeah, they don't have to have that fair exchange. May limit the number of people in their store if they don't.
So I guess the last thing I would just say is that you also only, you can also just walk in. So, and you can wait. So if there's a wait of time, just whatever that waiting room looks like, how many people it can hold based on, maybe other sites. Again, it doesn't matter, I guess, if you just have the flu, I guess, but if you're, if we, we're into our, third different strain of COVID now. So I don't know, I'm very sensitive to it because I'm a contact tracer right now. So it's just something that I think, anyways, is something to be looked at, not necessarily prevent them from doing it, but just brought up and made to their attention.
Mm.
I'm sure that they, they don't want people coming into there's doctors' offices that say if one person in your family gets tested positive for COVID, they don't want any other family members coming in. They assume they're all positive and they tell them to all stay home. They don't want anybody coming in anymore. They just want them to stay home. So, maybe they are just doing their tests outside, but it's just a thought process that I had. That's all.
Mhm.
Okay, so I feel like that was really good feedback. And it'll be good things that Clerk and I can chat with them to see if they can address when they're going forward. Do you guys have anything else that we want to look at with them?
So the only other thing I was just going to ask about was is just their handicap parking. So if this means more handicapped people tend to come, and if they have proper enough spaces for, should they have increased traffic and accessibility, I guess it would be my only other thing.
Yeah, that's a good question too. We'll look at that.
Okay, do we have any other questions that we want to ask the applicant? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to discussion items. I don't see any on the docket. Do we have any discussion items, Laura, that came up?
sorry. No, not no. I did want to let you guys know that, sorry, Ellen, I'm really getting a lot of feedback from you. That the corner of Van Antwerp and Hilltop has been resubmitted to the town of Niskayuna for review. That's that 3-lot subdivision from the Lisi. So it's going before the planning board on March 8th to take a look at it again. That one is related to the court case. We had issued a positive recommendation on environmental impacts to the planning board. So we believe that that recommendation can still stand. We're going to double check everything just to make sure. And if we have to bring it back to you, we will. But right now, I'm just letting you know that that's going to go before the planning board again.
Okay, great.
Laura,
Thanks.
was this before my time?
Yeah.
I don't recall any of that. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there was, just to fill you in, Ashok, there was a proposal to subdivide a lot into 3 additional lots to build houses, or was it 3 houses total, or I don't quite remember.
3 houses total.
3 houses total. And the challenge for this property was that it has historic value to the town of Niskayuna. So based on that and its value to the community, we recommended a positive deck, but the applicant took the town to court and the town lost.
So now it's back before the planning board. It may have to come back to you guys, or it may not. The planning board will sort through it and figure it out.
Okay, let's move on to the reports. Youth Initiative. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Raina Sakara. Is that
You said
right?
Raina?
Raina.
Raina.
Raina, I'm sorry. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about yourself, you know, where you are in school and what your interests are. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but.
Sure. First of all, I'm really honored to be here, and I'm a junior currently, and my interests, I'm in a lot of STEM related things, and this kind of goes along with that too. So I'm really excited to be working with all of you.
That's great. We're glad to have you join our committee.
Yeah, welcome.
We look at a whole variety of different things. So we look at developments. We look at special use permits like we just discussed. We have several initiatives that we'll talk about in a second. So we have our hands in a lot of different things in the town, and we primarily look at the impact of a proposed action on the community, both the environment, community character, and things like traffic and sewers and water and all that other stuff too, as well. Okay, moving on. Let's go to the natural resource inventory. Ashok, you had a meeting last Wednesday. Do you want to fill us in?
Sure. So we have 2 new members. So I'd like to provide a brief introduction of what we are up to for the benefit of the 2 new members. So the Conservation Advisory Council has started work and leading the development of a natural resources inventory, NRI for short. So as the name indicates, we start by cataloging all the natural resources that is there in the town of Niskayuna. So that not only involves major parks and bike trails and wetlands and waterways and things like that, but a personal passion of mine to also really account for little patches of wild space and woodland that is often in the middle of residential communities. I think these little patches have great value in terms of promoting biodiversity and being overall good for human health. And I'm a big fan of conservation. And when you start talking about conservation, the first thing that you talk about is, well, what do you want to conserve? What is there? So we inventory the natural assets of the town, and that goes into the natural resources inventory. So even though the CAC, which is our committee, which leads the charge, and we are actually empowered by New York state law to start and develop these natural resource inventories. So we take the lead on that, but it's not just us. There are representatives from other committees involved, and we have a kind of a working group that meets on the last Wednesday of every month. The next meeting is on Wednesday, March 31st. And Rayana, am I saying your name right, Rayana?
Rhina.
Raina. Raina and Anne, if you'd like to come to the NRI working group meeting, I would love to have your input. Just shoot me an email. If you look at the email that Laura sent with this meeting's Google Meet link, then you can easily find my email there, which is the one that ends with union.edu. And Raina, specifically for you, I'd love to have some outreach to the high school and get more students involved in biodiversity and conservation as something that I have so far failed. So I'd really appreciate your help. And Anne, I quickly wanted to ask, like, are you any relation to Roy Thornton? Okay. Maybe.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm sorry. I'm not related.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. I've worked with him in the past, and that's why I wanted to know. Okay. So a quick update on on what's happening with the NRI. A couple of things that you need initially is to do public outreach. And Laura, I sent you an email with the final text for me, but you can edit it as you see fit. I think I sent the email, I want to say Monday, or maybe Tuesday, yesterday. I don't know. I sent it
I
to you
did get
recently.
it. I thought it looked good. It was everything that we talked about, I thought.
Okay.
Good.
So you are going to send it to the mailing list, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. I also have the edits proposed. And again, for the benefit of the new members, so we are going to do outreach to the community, and Laura is going to send an email that will reach a lot of people in Niskayuna. And the other outreach that we do is the outreach to the elected officials. And here again, I have the letter in final form. I have included the let me say nearly in final form. I will do a couple of minor things, but I have included the comments given by people at the previous meeting. And Laura and Dot, I wanted to quickly get your take on this. Like, is it possible to put it on a CAC letterhead? Like, is there a CAC letterhead, and make it more official looking, rather than me sending an email from my union.edu email address?
We can
Laura, do
probably
we
make
have
one up
one?
for you, hey, Jacques.
Okay, so well, I don't want to create more work. I'm already putting things in other places. If there is no letterhead, then like I'm perfectly happy to forget that. So just wanted to like if I send an email, it may seem a little unofficial or something like that. So I was thinking maybe if there's a letterhead, but if there isn't, I'm happy to send it. But I wanted to ask Dot, like, you are the chairman, Dot. Like, if I
Yep.
send you the final text, like, can you send it to the to that committee that I presented?
Yes. Yeah, we can get that in there. Yeah, the economic committee. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Laura, is it okay with you, like, for Dot as chairman to send rather than me as a member?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can send it too. Either way.
Okay. You mentioned that like you already sent a lot of email to the to the town board, and that's why you suggested that I send it. And I thought like like I don't want to send it while when Dot is there. Like I don't want to usurp authority
There's
or
no
anything.
usurping authority, Aisha.
Okay.
We're all working together on this.
All right. So why don't I do that, Dot? Like I will send it to you, and you can send it to the committee with a really really big name.
We should probably put it on some letterhead. Laura, do we have a town, just a standard town letterhead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could probably even, I mean, we can modify the town letterhead to be on the conservation, like a conservation advisory council town letterhead.
Perfect time to start to make one.
Yes.
Since I'm sure there's going to be many letters going out for this
Yeah,
project.
The little leaf symbol, and that was the Conservation Advisory Council letterhead, but I don't know where, I don't have that anymore. We would just make one with the Niskuna symbol, I think, on it.
Yeah. Give us a day or so, Ashok, and we'll have one.
Give you a day?
Yeah.
Okay, you got a day. I will email you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, Dot. So I'm gonna send it to you, and Laura,
Yep.
I will look for the email blast to the town residents. And Raina, please get in touch with me regarding outreach to the high school, and Raina and Anne both, like I would really like it if more people and like new people show up for our working group meeting. An important part of developing this NRI is kind of outreach and discussions with the town, among town residents, and really like bringing people together as a community. I'm personally a big fan of that, and it's kind of an unmet need even before COVID, and made all the way worse, all the more worse with COVID. A couple more items. Carla, who is in the Complete Streets Committee, told me about this nice funding opportunity from the Niskayuna Community Federation Foundation, Niskayuna Community Foundation. They can give seed money to projects like this. It's $2,000. The deadline is April 16th. So when we meet on March 31st, I will have a preliminary grant proposal written up for them, and then get everyone's input. And Laura, I wanted to quickly touch base with you regarding the Nyserda grants you once mentioned, and I have not followed up on that. Let me apologize for that. Can you quickly tell me again what is involved, please?
So Nyserda has clean energy community programs. The first round, we did 4 high impact action items and got $100,000, and we used that to convert every single bulb in the town of Niskayuna to LED, pretty much, and get more high efficiency boilers for town hall because they were very old and inefficient. But they have a new round that's come out. It's been announced, and it includes, I believe it ends up being $100,000 again, as you start adopting high impact action items, but they are in chunks. But there's some relatively low hanging action items that could be done with the possibility of getting like $5,000 awards here and there. And when they give you those awards, they're meant to be applied to environmental projects. So, like for instance, if we were to adopt a New York State energy stretch code in enough time, we may be given a $5,000 grant, and then it's our choice, but we could use like that $5,000 grant to work on a natural resource inventory, which obviously they would approve because it's part of their climate smart community programs. So you would be putting money into being able to make more progress on the next items in the, in the climate smart community process. Oh, it's super confusing because there's climate smart community and clean energy community. They're actually two different things, but you can use the money between both.
So I was talking to a couple of people at the Hudson River Estuary program who advise people on NRIs, and I was talking like, what are the first steps? If you have a little bit of money, what can you do with it? And they said, if you can round up around $6,000, $7,000, that can be used to hire a consultant or a firm or a consulting firm to do some preliminary work for you. And like they can help you identify some priority areas and action items and things like that. So if we are able to get, say, $2,000 from the Niskayuna Community Foundation and say $5,000 from Nyserda, that is enough to start approaching consultants for some preliminary work. So I know what is involved in the Community Foundation grants. They have a website. They have a bunch of questions. But what is needed for the Nyserda grant? Like if we ask them for $5,000, like what should we give them? Like a proposal, a budget, a timeline? Like
No, so they're a little different in that it's not actually a grant application. You have to achieve an item and show them proof that it's been done, and then you get an award. So they call it a grant because they do have to approve what you're using your award for. But like, for instance, you have to adopt the New York State stretch code. When you show them proof that your town has adopted it, then you're awarded $5,000. And then there's 4 things that you can get $5,000 for. I think one of them is, actually 2 of them might be. We did a Solarize campaign in our first clean energy community designation, and essentially what that is there's a group of like 10 people, in the area that love solar, and they put a bid out to the solar companies in the area. They review all the bids and they select what they think is the best for people. And then they outreach to people and say, listen, you don't have to do the research. We've talked to like 15 different solar companies. We've figured out the rebates. This is the one that we're recommending. And if you get 10 people to sign up, then you get another $5,000 from Nyserda, but not for the Solarize, because we did that one before. You can do it for geothermal, and you can do it for electric cars. So like I would be thinking like I've got that stretch code already in the works, but for the geothermal, and we already have geothermal. We already had seen an uptick of geothermal installations in the town of Niskayuna. But yeah, so maybe some like a geothermal group and then a electric vehicle group, which anybody who knows me, I obsess about electric vehicles. So that's my thing. I don't understand geothermal at all, but I can do the electric vehicles.
So what would be the next step? Like what can I do to help?
So I would say that for funding wise, I think if you want to pursue the Niskayuna Foundation grant, that'd be great. And the Climate Smart Community Task Force probably going to work pretty hard on the other stuff. So you got other people working towards that for you.
Okay, great. And if If the money materializes, it would be great. If not, I'll be a good engineer and have a plan B. Thanks, Laura. And we meet on March 31st. And Laura, you'll be sending the meeting invite, right? Or would you like me to set up that meeting?
Yeah, I can set that one up. I know I wrote it down somewhere, but they sneak up on me so fast.
I know. Did anybody have any questions?
So no, but I thought that so I've written a couple of those grants or for Niskuna Community Foundation, and they have, you know, two sides. You know, they have a really big one, and then they have the smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then the smaller ones are rolling.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going for the bigger one?
No, smaller one. I don't have a lot of meat to chew on for the bigger one because we just started it.
Right, I agree.
Maybe in a year we'll have enough meat to chew on, and we can apply for the bigger one.
Okay.
Just a smaller one right now.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Aisha?
Dot,
Yeah.
Can you please come to the next meeting, the March 31st one?
I was planning on coming to the last meeting, and I sort of had a situation at work that I had to take care of. I will be there. I'm all for it.
Okay, March 31st, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, March 31st, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Pesticide outreach update. Ellen, did you want to update us on that at all?
So just that they were ordered, the signs were ordered, and I just wanted to review because I emailed the PDF or whatever and we had to take out, because before we were going to give them away for free and now we're not, so we have to make sure that we have the proper amount that people are going to pay, if it's and then I need to put that on the sign, you know, the piece of paper. And then I started so I'm not sure who does the press releases or how that works over there. So that's why I sort of put that information. I took some of what Ashok sent before, and I tried to make it encouraging to people, you know, not to scare them away that pesticides, you know, because I want, some of it was like, it is all very true, the information, but I was trying to make it a little bit more friendlier, as opposed to, you know, scaring everyone. But anyways, so I started that, and then I also have a couple of, Clark had sent me back something in regards to, you know, maybe we could offer them some tips. So I do have, you know, tips. So what I want to know, I sent you a link to another community that actually has like just when you open up that, you know, that website, you get like, welcome to, you know, pesticide free. And then we could, you know, you can have the link to the actual pesticide application thing. And then things come up like, you know, maybe the tips. So that end of it, I'm not really sure how to do, and if I'm even explaining it correctly. So I apologize. If, are you looking for it right now, Laura?
I just pulled it up. I mean, like, this is kind of what happened at our last, I think, NRI meeting. We have a new IT guy who I definitely think is willing to help us maybe make things more robust on our website. We do have that, you know, website. Bill Lawrence did reserve us that, for sure. We have that.
Right.
But if we wanted to make it a little more functional and linked up, he might be able to do that for us. So we could definitely ask him.
So I guess my next question is I'm not necessarily saying that that's what we need to do. I'm just putting it out there. So, I mean, they could also just go to the CAC and then, you know, whatever the link is, you know, to that, and we could put the information on the CAC. But, you know, I could put, you know, basically the spring tips, of, what you should do in the spring for your lawns, like, do the testing of the soil and stuff like that. And yeah.
Yeah, I do think we can do that. And I think it would be great. I'm wondering like if maybe Ellen, like you and me and the new IT guy, and maybe Ashok, like if you guys don't mind listening to each other's things, could sit down with the IT guy and kind of flesh out what we want for the website. Because like for the NRI, we want people to send us pictures, and we want to place on the CIC website for these beautiful pictures of Niskuna that people are sending us, and so like having a section for the NRI and the pictures, and then having a section for pesticide free lawns and tips. And then, our pesticide free pledge would be great. And then also like having like, this is a lot of work, but showcasing our biodiversity initiative, which is the next one, which I have a couple of things on. All of those things I think would be really good to put on our website.
I was actually about to suggest the exact same thing, to take a meeting with Seth.
Yeah, you probably would too. We could just set up a time.
Yeah. Ellen, I'm very happy to provide any input or assistance with the pesticide, and I agree with you 100%. Like, my approach is a tad aggressive, and a little scary. I mean, like you said, it's all facts, but this is your baby, as the saying goes. And I can provide support, and I can let you take the lead, and or just be there to provide additional feedback or whatever.
Oh no, that's very good. It's a good yin and yang, because I tend to you downplay, a little bit too much. So it'll be a good thing. So yeah, and anybody else that it's not. Trust me, I'm not the best writer, and so, and I thought, I thought we needed some like graphics, so I wasn't really, because that, is also helpful as well. So that was sort of where my next move was, with the spring tip. So I was going to send you something, Laura, but I don't want to keep like throwing things at you and not. My biggest thing is to make sure that we make the correction to the PD, to the thing, that we get them in, and that then we have something in order for it to go out for March 20th, like the because that's the first day of spring, and the why is it escaping me?
That's Thursday.
Pardon me?
Oh, that's when we're going to roll out the program.
Yeah. When you make to the newspaper or whatever like that, however you do that, I just need to know like what you need for that, or yeah.
I'll bring that up at the Economic Development Committee meeting on Friday and just make sure we're ready to go, because I'm sure you guys probably already remember the town board is really supportive of pesticide-free stuff. They looked into trying to make a law and all kinds of things, and they were frustrated by all of that, but they really support anything we can do to reach out to residents and reduce the pesticides. So I'm sure they will really like help with the press release.
Okay,
and
so
Laura,
that was okay. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Regarding the meeting with Seth, like how does one proceed? Like, can I email Seth and ask for a meeting? And Laura, like Ellen said, like we don't want to put too much on your plate. Like me and Ellen and Seth can just meet, and you don't have to be present unless you want to.
Yeah, you can email him, but it's definitely important to copy me
Okay.
so that he knows that it's being done through the planning department. And then we can work on times that work. And if I could come, I would like to, but I do think that you guys can also handle it. So it'll just be what ends up working out.
And Ellen, as long as we are here, I'll start the email tomorrow. But do you have any tight constraints on times and dates? Any dates to absolutely avoid or anything like that?
So Wednesdays are better for me
Okay.
because I don't work on Wednesdays, but I work
Uh,
the other days, and
Okay.
I don't have as much flexibility.
Okay. So like you're not talking Wednesday PM, like Wednesday at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, like all
Yeah,
those would work.
anytime on a Wednesday. I'm
Anytime.
completely off of work on Wednesday and Sundays. Those are my 2 days off.
Okay. I will start that email.
I have a couple of comments too. I don't think it's asking a lot to charge $5 for the sign. And I think it's almost easier for people to give you $5 than $3.
It's definitely the best for my department if we charge $5.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We don't keep a lot of change.
It's not going to be a hardship, and yeah. And my other comment is, after the initial public rollout, are there plans to appear at like farmers markets if they're open in the spring and give out information and have the applications? And
that's a really good idea.
I was going to definitely go to the farmers markets in Niskayuna, but I wasn't going to go to the ones in Schenectady or anything like that. And then I also was going to try to, like, I wanted that to get out the door and like sort of get that. But then, right. So I don't know, where they are at with like Girl Scout troops or Boy Scout troops or any other. I mean, maybe we could do some. I know that at the high school they have a group, but I'm open for suggestions.
Yeah, I think by April or May we might be able to be out in the public a little more safely. So if you want help to go to a farmer's market or have a table at the co-op or whatever, I can help you with that.
One thing I was.
Oh, sorry, Derek. I have a Girl Scout troop, Helen, if you ever need one. That's the other thing that I do.
One thing I might suggest we do, and of course we can't do it now because of COVID, but we did have the speaker from the Cornell Cooperative come and talk about ways to improve your lawn without chemicals. And I thought that was really well attended. And I thought the feedback on that was very good. So if we could get him back maybe in the fall, that would be really great.
So I was wondering, so really the most important thing that people need to do in the spring. So the guy from Cornell Cooperative was excellent, but pretty much everything he said was don't rake your lawn, and everything you need to do is in the fall, except for testing your soil. So, but there are
overseeding.
They overseed, but you can but there are like natural fertilizers that you can put on your lawn that lots of people do that are organic. But I think I think the nicest thing would be to do is if we could get if we could get something to come to Niskayuna and do a soil test. And then you could just come to Niskayuna and come to the town, like even if I tried to do it like on a Saturday. I know the Cornell, but I don't know with COVID anymore, like where that all falls. But the nicest thing would be to say, hey, for Earth Day, let's come to. I know they give away trees, but the line was like all the way down the. I was riding my bicycle by and they had tons of people for trees, and I just was wondering, that was my next thought was if we could figure out a way to test people's soil.
Right. Well, the master gardeners do test soil, so if you want to set up a day, I'm sure we could get a couple of people to come over and do the soil testing.
Okay, so that'll be my next thing after we get this thing out on March 20th will be the soil test.
Okay.
And if maybe we probably Earth Day is in April, right? So it's a little warmer, and you can there's a good chance it should be actually thawed by then.
Yeah, Earth Day is usually a week before Arbor Day. Our Arbor Day is going to be on April 24th. So it's probably, Earth Day is probably like April 17th or something. June 18th, something like that.
The soil is usually not frozen at that time, though. it's usually thawed by then. Okay, do we have anything else we want to add to the pesticide outreach? Nope. Okay, LOMO, Biodiversity Initiative update.
Meeting's almost done, sorry. So I brought this up with the highway superintendent again, because, we had kind of outlined where we want to do the biodiversity initiative on Riverdale and Catherine's Woods area, and talked to the residents. And I do think that it went well, and it was a lot of good work from you guys. But we did note that potentially we want to make it a little bit smaller so that it's a little more successful, and that there was a couple like Frisbee golf holes that nobody seemed to be aware of. Except for the Frisbee golfers. I'm sure they're aware of them. So we were gonna maybe do a new map and then just send the map out to people one more time before we start not mowing that area. And then, we can mark it. And highway department is still very supportive of it. Talked to the superintendent about it a couple days ago, brought it up at the committee meeting this morning. But the thing that we talked about too, and I brought this up at the highway department, and they're like, they had some ideas for getting us seeds, which isn't bad. But we also talked about, seeds are kind of a long-term thing, and we still wanted to add some pop. And I didn't have the guts to bring up a budget climate. I probably still will, but I'm, anything we can do to get flowers. I'll work on finalizing the map and making sure that we have all the approvals, and then doing one more letter. Because it's not really going to come to fruition probably until like May. They don't really even start mowing until like May.
Mhm.
So you have some time, but it's and the only other thing on that one that we haven't really done, which given the current budget constraints, we might just do laminated signs or something to begin with before we get like the permanent ones, but is the signs. We still haven't finalized the signs on there.
No, like we could write, one more of those Niskayuna community foundation grants, like a short one for, I don't know, $500, $600, something like that.
For the signs?
For the signs, for the seeds, native perennials, plugs, whatnot.
Yeah, so there are ways. So like our IT guy even found a place that he was like, each one of your CAC members could write to this place and get packets of wildflowers for free, because they give them for free, as part of a biodiversity initiative. So we can certainly like get some seeds.
I should have some plugs for you. I mean, we're doing a lot of seeding at the greenhouse in Central Park. So, we're hoping everything germinates. And unfortunately, Cobleskill is not supplying us with any plants this year. Otherwise, we would have had a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but, we'll certainly have some that we can use over at that site.
Okay, and like if we're making signs and we want to like put out, plants donated by you guys, we definitely put you on the signs, to get people to remember.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of seeds that I winter sowed, so we should have something.
Okay.
All right.
So I will just keep working on finalizing the map and the one more letter, and just making sure that that's on the radar and it doesn't like accidentally get mowed.
Yeah.
But it did seem like it was still a go. So
I'm happy to ask for free seeds if you just tell me who I need to write to. I will happily just, I don't know if it's an email or a handwritten, or an actual, letter through the mail. I would be more than happy to do that, just so that we have them to possibly grow ourselves and make. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we can do that too. Like, Kathy knows this better than I do. Like, we definitely need to prep that area before we put seeds down, and we can only do that a little bit, at a time. But I think we can make it really nice over time. It's just like, Kathy pretty much handmade that garden in front of the solar panels by herself.
Yeah,
And I'm
we definitely
expecting
have,
similar soils.
we should do, oh, God, it's terrible. We definitely should do some site prep, either with cardboard and mulch or solarization with, I hate to say it, plastic, but it works. But anything that we do will help, you know, make it more successful.
We should have like a work day in there in the summer and have like lots of people come in.
Sure.
Of course, masks, socially distanced, that's
Yeah.
that's our time. But it'll be like a good, spending time outside, getting children there and getting the community involved. Like that's a good thing.
Sure.
Yeah, we might have to wait a little while on that, but yes.
Yeah, and we can plant plugs into the fall. I mean, the perennials it's almost a better time if it's a dry summer and there's no water there. So
Yes.
Right.
And I've done that with trees where I was literally driving water to them and it was exhausting. Couldn't do it for too long. So, okay. So, yeah, that's the
Laura,
update on that.
will we be meeting the residents again, like once you send the updated letter?
I don't think we need to because I feel like we heard from them what they want and the new map's going to update that and I'll still put all their contact information, but I don't think we need to go door to door. I feel like we had good turnout. We definitely talked to the Jason neighbors and we're shrinking down the areas that he wanted. We definitely talked to, people. I know we even got Catherine's Wood people. So I think that we got a good for that outreach.
I just wanted to quickly.
Okay, do we have anything else we want to? Go ahead, Ashok.
I just realized that like we've been talking about this a lot, and then we have 2 new members. So quickly for their benefit, like we are trying to set aside a small part of the town-owned land. It's kind of near Blatnick Park as a low mow area, meaning it will naturally grow into a meadow with, and we talked about wildflowers, and this will be like good for pollinators and birds and basically improving biodiversity in Niskayuna.
And we're hoping if this one is successful, it'll keep spreading because there's a guy, I can't remember what's the guy's, the Thornton guy's name?
Roy
does the bobo links and he really wants us to preserve larger areas because the bobo links need larger areas than this. Like we can't put a bobo link on our sign yet. We can just put flowers and bees.
Small steps, we'll get there, Laura. Okay, if we don't have anything else to add, I would consider a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. We're adjourned. One day I'm going to say nay, Clark, and we'll stay on.